Welcome back to Central Colorado Ballistics. My name is Wally. In 1911, Colorado standardized concealed carry. One rule for the entire state. But something else was changing. Not just in Denver, not just in Colorado, in Washington. The federal government was growing, and soon it would step inside a field that had belonged almost entirely to the states. This is how it happened. "1911 did not invent restriction. It standardized it. Concealed carry was prohibited statewide. Open carry remained lawful. The constitutional distinction survived. 1911 did not create police power. It completed Colorado's first regulatory arc, from constitutional promise to municipal experimentation to statewide standardization. But enforcement varied. Denver enforced. Rural counties often did not. Police power in practice depends on proximity and culture. Colorado was not pioneering concealed carry regulation. Southern states had acted decades earlier. Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, state courts had long held that the right to bear arms did not guarantee concealed carry. People versus Nakamura, 1916. The Colorado legislature prohibited firearm possession by non-citizens. The law was challenged. Nakamura. The Colorado Supreme Court struck it down. The court held that Article 2, Section 13 applied to no person, not only citizens. Police power had limits. Colorado's constitutional language was not unusual. Missouri, Montana, Idaho, Utah. Post-Civil War state constitutions often affirmed the right strongly, while allowing regulation of concealed carry. And the state constitution still had teeth. World War I. The United States entered the war in 1917. Federal power expanded rapidly. The Espionage Act. National security enforcement. Surveillance. The tone changed. Firearms became linked to loyalty and internal security. Colorado law did not radically change, but enforcement culture did. There was no ATF in 1911. No Federal Firearm Bureau, but Prohibition would change that. In 1920, National Prohibition begins. Federal agents enforce alcohol laws, initially under the Treasury Department. In 1927, the Bureau of Prohibition is established. In 1930, the Bureau of Narcotics. These were not firearms agencies. They were revenue and vice enforcement bodies. But they normalized something new. Permanent federal agents operating inside the states. And these agencies expanded the state-federal presence, including Colorado. Federal agents operate, coordinate, and investigate. The structure that would eventually become the ATF was taking shape. Organized crime rises. Tommy guns. Bank robberies. High-profile violence. Firearms are no longer framed as frontier tools. They are framed as instruments of criminal syndicates. Public pressure grows. National action is demanded. 1934. The National Firearms Act. Not a prohibition, a tax, administered by the Treasury Department under what is known as the Alcohol Tax Unit. That unit would evolve into the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. But in 1934, it marked something permanent. The federal government was no longer an observer. It was a regulator. From 1876 to 1911, Colorado defined its own boundaries. From 1911 to 1934, the nation began defining them too. Police power remained strong, but the field was no longer exclusively state. The next era will test that balance again, because soon the federal Constitution itself would be asked to speak on a scale never before seen. Freedom secured, rights defended.